Whose power level is that? It's going off the scale. But the only one in there was the dying monkey and the pig. Sacre bleu. Could it be the legendary Super Swine?
It's time to share the deck that's been hogging all my time. What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we continue our Scarlet Violet base set deck profiles. So if you've missed any of the previous videos, we have covered Gardevoir, Ampharos, and Regieleki Miraidon in previous videos. I'll be sure to drop those in the description below. Today's video took a little longer. We always test the decks before we put them out, so I wasn't quite happy with previous iterations, but I'm happy to bring this one to you today. So if you enjoy the content, be sure to drop a like, comment below. That said, let's bring out the star of the show, the Hamlet himself, Oinkologne ԹX. So we're going to start this profile off with 4 ĽCHONK. So there's 2 in the set. One is 60 hit points, one is 70. They both have 1 retreat, so take your pick. I went with the 70 hit points. I like the artwork better, honestly. Don't have any other justification. The attack we are never going to use. If you're using it, it's really, really bad. But the star themselves, Oinkologne ԹX. It's a 260 hit point, colorless, 2-prize Pokemon. It's also part of the EX mechanic, so it is classified as a stage 1. There are some other interactions in other decks that make that useful, but it opens up the future potential for a card like this, so just keep that in mind. But what does it do? So its first attack, Fragrance Fury, does 10 damage and 30 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. 160 damage for 1 energy is pretty respectable. The entire concept of the deck is built around that first attack. The idea is to hit for 160, heal up, hit for 160, and try to make it very difficult for them to knock out your pig. But there is a second attack you should be aware of. It does come up from time to time. Heavy Stamp. I feel like it should be Stomp, but whatever. 210 damage for 3 energy. Not the best, but it's there. It's okay. We have options. Flip a coin. If heads, this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. So basically on a coin flip, we can't attack. That's okay. That's not too bad. So keep the pig alive, preserve it as long as possible. We do have a few support Pokemon that are worth mentioning. We're running 2 of the new Bidoof, Carefree Countenance. So as long as it's on your bench, prevent all damage done to it by attacks. So rather than play a Manaphy, we're just playing the new Crown Zenith Bidoof. And we are playing it to jump into the new barrel. So Industrious Incisor says once during your turn you can draw until you have 5 cards in hand. We play 2, realistically only want to see 1 on the board. If you get 2, it's not bad. So that's another one. Again, the cards are just nice, kind of fits the cute little Pokemon motif. And we are playing 2 more support Pokemon. So we're playing the brand new Skwovet, which has the ability Hidey Hole. Part of me just included it because I do like bouncing that attack. Once during your turn, you can use the ability. Shuffle your hand, put it at the bottom of your deck, then draw a card. So this synergizes very well with the barrel. There's a few times where there are resources in your hand, and while you may have a research, you don't want to throw it away. So this is pretty nice to kind of protect some resources, keep the non-playables, and then use Industrious Incisors to reload. So it is good. I wouldn't play it until you have the barrel on the board, so it's just an option. And then of course we have 1 copy of Dunsparce. So this makes sure all of our Pokemon in the deck have no weakness. Because they're all colorless Pokemon, it just removes their weakness. So 260 is a 260. It's not 130 multiplied by 2 knockout, no. As long as we have the Dunsparce, we are good, we are going. And of course, that concludes our Pokemon line. So we're going to jump right into the supporter cards because there are quite a few of them in this list. We're playing 4 copies of Research, as we mentioned, the best supporter in the game. It's really hard to argue not playing this card. I know, you want to protect resources. Good luck. Good luck. This card is still seeing heavy increase in almost all of my lists. And then we are playing 4 copies of Judge. Okay, so once we have the pig on the board, once we have 1 or 2 of them on the board, then we want to make our opponent slow down. Then we want to make things a draw us 4 cards. So judge it there for our disruption element. Let's say we want to go on the Oink offensive. Okay, that was bad. I apologize. We have 2 copies of Boss's Orders for just that. So switch the opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. Sometimes we want to chase something that took the 160 that didn't quite, get taken out. So Boss's Orders is there for that. Now we jump into the defensive elements of the deck. So Oinkologne wants to stay alive. We have 2 ways to do it. So one of the more common ways is Cheryl. So because it is an evolution Pokemon, we can heal all damage from our evolution Pokemon, but in return, we have to discard all energy from Pokemon who are healed this way. So Cheryl's a good include, so we're playing 2 of it. We're not going with the full 4 because there's another option that I wanted to divvy my resources out with. So Cheryl is good. It would heal the Barrel. It would heal the Oinkologne. But why we are splitting the counts rather than going with the full 4 is playing 2 copies of Sharon's Care. So this one is a unique tool to colorless Pokemon. So put one of your colorless Pokemon that has any damage on it and all cards attached back into your hand. Cheryl might make us discard energy, but here Sharon's Care lets us take the energy back and reset. So let's say we had a Lechonk we could scoop up and then re-evolve onto right away. Sharon's Care is good. If your opponent can't apply the pressure, we can use Sharon's Care to pick them up and then re-evolve them. It kind of gives us options. I do like a split between the 2. I know I've rambled on those a little too long. And then, of course, we're playing 1 copy of Miriam. So let's say we take a Dunsparce loss early, or we take a Bidoofs or Chonks or Oinkologne early. Well, Miriam's a nice new supporter card that lets us shuffle up to 5 Pokemon cards from our discard pile into our deck. So it's up to. You can take 1, you can take 5, you can take anything in between. Then draw 3 cards. Anytime you attach a draw free effect to something you were already sort of looking at, just makes it very, very good. I think it'll be a very slept on card and has some gorgeous full arts over in Japan. My God. Oh, they're going to be expensive. But enough of that. So now we're going to keep the train going so I don't get distracted talking about my favorite thing to collect. Full art supporters. But we are up to the stadiums now. So for our Scarlet and Violet new archetypes only bracket, we are looking to try some new concepts. We are looking to see how they apply, in this, so you don't have to. So rather than Path to the Peak, we're running Lake Acuity. So all of your Pokemon that have a water or fighting energy attached to them take 20 less damage. So the reason why I'm trying this card in here rather than the straight Path to the Peak is lightning is supposed to be super prevalent, so water is on the downswing. Fighting is still pretty freaking garbage, so you're not going to see a lot of fighting decks to deal with. So you can get away with sneaking in water or fighting into this deck just to take advantage of Lake Acuity. So again, it reduces 20 less damage, making our pigs an effective 280. And then we don't stop there with damage reductions. We play 3 copies of Full Face Guard. So card is attached to, if they have no abilities, takes 20 less damage. So with the Acuity and the Full Face Guard, the pig is sitting at 300 effective health with no weakness. That is really, really good. So I will take that every day of the week. Keep in mind, it says item on this card, but they are no longer items. They are tool cards. And then we are going to jump into our item cards, which are different. 4 Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards, search for any Pokemon in your deck, grabs the Oinkologne, synergizes with Industrious Incisors, grabs everything in the deck. Very, very good. We're playing it as a 4-of. It's pretty much an auto include at this point. It's such a good search card. And then we're playing 4 copies of Nest Ball. So Lechonks, Bidoofs, Squovits, Dunsparces. You can play Nest Ball, you can play Level Ball. Both cards are acceptable in this deck as they hit the exact same targets conveniently enough. I do like Nest Ball, just preference, just what I'm trying. Again, you can opt up. There are a couple tech attackers you can look into with this. And then we play 2 switch cards. Again, if the pig gets stuck and can't attack the following turn, we do need a way to move it. So we go pig to pig with the switch. So switch your active with your bench. And then we're playing 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball. So I find the odd time if you're playing such a low base Pokemon count, because we are only playing 8 basic Pokemon, you will see 1, 2, or 3 of them in there. And the Hisuian Heavy Ball just lets us look, lets us prize map. Someone finally explained how the note-taking works, so that's a game changer. Being able to use the Heavy Ball to gather information allows you to better play out your strategy, Brandon finally catches up several years later. And 1 copy of Palpad. So if we have to research away supporters, if we have to use up supporters early, or if we want to continue a Sharon's Care loop going, Palpad is the card for you. Just good utility for something that wants to play a longer game. We're still doing damage, but you want to have a longer game, and I feel like 2 Cheryl, 2 Sharon are not enough without the Palpad. And we're not playing extra counts, that just clogs up our hand. So we are playing 5 water energy. I'm leaving the door open. There are a few attackers you can look at. There's a few one energy attackers that we can kind of mess around with. Water's not too bad either. And then, of course, we are playing 3 copies of Double Turbo. So after we get the first attachment, how do we jump from 1 energy to 3? We'll Double Turbo. But the catch is, if the card is attached to a Pokemon, the attack does 20 less damage. Hence why it's doing 190 rather than 210. So we're not worried about additional damage modifiers. We're playing a slow and steady game. We're just trying to wear them down. If you've played Blissey in the past, if you've played any of those tanky decks that just kind of want to hit, heal, and then take your 6 prizes throughout that process, this is it. We're playing 2 copies of Gift Energy. So if your Pokemon gets knocked out, draw until you have 7 cards in hand. So let's say they knock something out early. Let's say they take out a Chonk, take out a Bidoof, they take out one of your pigs. If your hand feels a little flat and you don't want to play research, understandable, you can always attach the Gift Energy, Fragrance Fury, and then should they get the knockout, you are going to go reload. So you're getting something even when you are losing prizes, which is nice. And then we're playing 1 copy of V-Guard Energy. So this lets you take 30 less damage from Pokemon V. I think until the end or mid part of 2023, we will see a very strong V Pokemon format. So you can include more. You can swap your Gift Energy and V-Guard accounts for more if you feel like it'll be more prevalent. But for our initial testing, it has been EX focused. So we've included the 1 for the tech attackers, but I would opt for more in a format where there's Vs running around. And the last card of the day, Lucky Energy. So anytime the Pokemon this card is attached to takes damage, draw a card. I was decking out when I was playing 2 and 3 copies of this card, so I cut it down. We don't play enough Shuffle Draw to really justify it. This is the list we're rocking with. We have been testing it. It will show up in future videos in our bracket. Be sure to check that out. I will pop that on screen to where it's going to fit in. And keep an eye out for the coming days as we have more videos to cover, as we are finally at the 8 decks, and it's just a matter of sharing them with you. So any suggestions, any comments, anything you would like to see different in the list, feel free to let me know down below. And until next time, guys, take care.